Hello guys, this is Mythos here, and I did shoot up satellites up into orbit, and uh, this is just terrible. Alright, so it's at 4 times speed the entire video because I just felt like having it be at 4 times speed, and I'm trying to make the video go full screen, it's not working. Well, I set up a satellite network, and the video, unfortunately for it, crashed and, well, didn't crash, I ran out of space, but that's a different story. And I only had the first launch, so I just went ahead and just deleted that, and I explained to you how the satellite networks worked. And how it works is you have the omnidirectional antenna, and it communicates with anything within a certain radius. And for that to function, you need power, so I put a lot of batteries and I got a lot of solar panels on it. And right here you see me put in the rocket boosters, the SRBs. Well, they're more like liquid fuel tanks. It's not solid rocket boosters, so they're not SRBs. But I'm trying to get a polar mission to go here, and uh, one thing that is missing is the loss of Bill and Bob Kerman, because the footage for that also uh, was unfortunately dumbly deleted. And here you see a bunch of issues that it wouldn't stop turning, so I just released all the stages and decided just to burn for the North Pole here. And luckily enough, I do not die. And I keep all the signs from this, and it works out pretty well, except for the fact that I didn't get much science from it. And then I also lose the antenna. I'm believe I was slowed down enough, and there it just falls off. And it's interesting because that by itself, with how little weight and how much drag it has compared to that, it should be falling slower than the ship. Right here we have two explosions go off, and I'm not sure what the second object was. And there we saw the blue sun, which I think ate Bob and Bill Kerman. You see, we lost Bob and Bill Kerman through radio transmissions, and we just lost them. Their ships disappeared, and Jebediah's sole purpose right now is trying to find them, and that's what he's trying to do in the space, with the space center right now. All of his missions are geared towards finding Bill and Bob Kerman. So we get back in, we recover it, and we only have 32 science, so that's always unfortunate, and it's not quite enough for what I wanted. And I try to adapt the ship a little bit, but it's not working, so I just clear it all, and I make a satellite, a polar satellite, to uh, to get data, and I don't know what just happened there. I just had a complete brain fart. So we're making a polar satellite to collect data and transmit it back, but it doesn't work out for some reason. I can't remember why. We do have plenty of mystery goo containers, and we have one science bay. And that stage there, it really saves me. I need to start putting more Delta V on the ships. I keep underestimating things. I need to overestimate, have too much, because I'm not that good at this game. And that's fairly apparent because I've lost Bill and Bob Kerman in the outer reaches of space. And I don't put any solar panels on this thing either, so I have no way to generate power to keep this thing alive and keep gathering more and more data and sending it back. And that's just disappointing. So we are flying over a lot faster, and we lose everything again. Everything just explodes and goes in every other direction. I don't understand why, but I am able to save the ship. I decide to continue the orbit anyways, and it works out quite well, actually. So that stage there that I put on in the VAB, that extra stage in between the orbital stage and the launch stage, that really saved me there because it allowed me to stay, or allowed me to pull my orbit all the way back up. That's the kind of stuff that I need to do because I underestimate everything. I just had the ship point prograde there. I was messing around with the flight computer a little bit, trying to figure out what everything does. So that, I thought that was kind of cool. And I do try sending some stuff back, but none of the science actually uh, none of the science actually gets me any science when I transmit it back, except for the materials bay where it's only 5 science. So what I do is decide to try and send somebody to rescue the science data, and it doesn't quite go so well. So Jebediah is gonna fly up around the North Pole, and it just I forget about the North Pole, and that's staying stationary while the planet's orbiting around it. So that just failed, that rescue mission. I didn't even launch it. That's not going to get me anywhere, and then I just canceled the launch. So here what I'm building is a lunar ship that I want to have. I'm going to send it out to the moon, or the mun, and try to gather as much data as possible. And here I do put parachutes on it so that I can re-enter and survive. It's a lunar satellite, so it's not going to land on the moon. It's going to orbit around the moon, come back, and then it's going to attempt to land back on Kerbin's land. Land is optional. I do put reaction wheels on it. I try and find more space to put the batteries and stuff, and I'm trying hard to get like solar panels and all sorts of stuff on there. So that's good enough for, in my opinion. So what we go ahead and do is wait for the moon to come up over the sky there, and we launch it. So here we go. We're flying this thing straight up to the moon. That's our goal. So now we're on to the second stage, and our our apoapsis is increasing, but it's not increasing anywhere near far enough or quick enough. So that's getting me slightly worried about fuel and about underestimating it. But that's alright, I guess, because I don't want the stage floating around in orbit. So when I run out of fuel, I'm just going to decouple that and keep burning. So I waited in time to have me be able to. The reason I waited on the launch pad till the moon was just coming up over the horizon was so that I could launch and just go straight for the moon. Have me minimize the amount of fuel consumption and just go straight for the moon and be able to come right back. Right there I'm just tweaking the orbit a little bit and trying to get as close as possible, and we set up an alarm clock for it, and it doesn't quite work out, so we have to set it up for the transfer. And then we switch to the polar satellite, and we try to land it. And I believe it's going to land up on the North Pole, but I completely misjudged that. So what I should have done there is just re-increase the orbit so it lands on the North Pole again, because you're going to see why. And right there, that was a weird camera angle because we were passing over the South Pole, and that's a place that gets overlooked a lot. So next time we try to build a polar ship, we're going to go for the South Pole. I want to try that. A lot of people seem to overlook that, especially when they're making their YouTube videos. Everybody just goes straight for the North Pole. Let's go for the South Pole. So in the next video, we're going to be trying to get that spacecraft to land on the moon, and here all of the science just gets destroyed. So we're going to be able to hire somebody finally, and we're going to go straight for the moon.